What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA playoffs. Saturday, June 12th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have an NBA playoffs showdown between the Utah Jazz and the LA Clippers. So let's take a look at the point guard position. Now, you got to keep an eye on Mike Conley. He is questionable tonight, so if he plays, I think he's going to be a good play here tonight because he's been priced down. He has been playing the past couple of games, so if he does play, he'd be a high risk, high reward play. But if he doesn't play, take a look at Reggie Jackson. He's the only point guard that I really would consider on the slate here tonight. You could take a risk on Patrick Beverley, who scored 14 fantasy points in 20 minutes last game. He's super low salary, so that would be a long shot. But I like Reggie Jackson, who is averaging 19.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 23 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate. He scored 35 fantasy points last game, played 36 minutes. Now, it's hard to know how many minutes he's going to play because he only played 17 and 28 minutes in the two games before that. So his minutes are all over the map. So he's projected at 22.7 fantasy points here tonight, but he's got a range of 15 to 35 fantasy points. So it's a high risk, high reward play, but there's not much on the slate for point guards outside of Mike Conley. If Mike Conley doesn't play, the only guys I'm going to consider, Patrick Beverley, if you're looking for a deep sleeper pick, or then Reggie Jackson here versus the Utah Jazz. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. If Mike Conley is out, this guy is one of the top plays on the slate. Take a look at Donovan Mitchell from the Utah Jazz. He's averaging 40.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 34% usage rate. He scored 44, 59, and 52 fantasy points in the last three games, playing 38, 36, and 29 minutes. In the past couple of games, his usage rate has been through the roof, 41 and 43% usage rate the past two games. So if Mike Conley comes back, I'm probably going to shy away from this Donovan Mitchell pick because he is expensive. But if Mike Conley is out, got to play him. He's projected at 47 fantasy points here tonight with Mike Conley out. Now Vegas thinks there's going to be 223 points scored in this game. So I like Donovan Mitchell here versus the LA Clippers. Another shooting guard that I like is Paul George from the LA Clippers playing the Utah Jazz. Paul George has averaged 40.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 30% usage rate. He scored 44, 33, and 49 fantasy points in the last three games, playing 43, 37, and 43 minutes. He's projected at 45 fantasy points here tonight. So if Mike Conley does play, I'm going to play Paul George over Donovan Mitchell. And even if Mike Conley is out, Paul George is a little bit less expensive than Donovan Mitchell. So he's still a good play. He's actually projected at a higher value here. So I like Paul George here versus the Utah Jazz. Real quick, guys, I got great news. For For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. I like Kawhi Leonard from the LA Clippers, averaging 44.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 29% usage rate. He scored 36, 39, and 69 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 38, 35, and 42 minutes. So he's cooled off the past couple of games, but he was scoring 55 fantasy points or more consistently throughout the playoffs. He's projected at 52 fantasy points here tonight, so I like Kawhi Leonard here versus the Utah Jazz. Now, if you want to save some salary, take a look at Bojan Bogdanovic from the Utah Jazz. And Bojan Bogdanovic has averaged 24.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 31 minutes per game with a 23% usage rate. He scored 23, 29, and 36 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 38, 37, and 31 minutes. So his minutes are way up there, almost 40 minutes a game the past couple of games, and he's projected at 26.8 fantasy points here tonight. He can easily score you 30 fantasy points or more. You're going to save some salary. He's a nice mid-range play. So I like Bojan Bogdanovic here versus the LA Clippers. Now, I don't know if you want to go with Joe Ingles. I probably wouldn't go there. I'd go with Bojan Bogdanovic. But I just wanted to point out that we did call out Joe Ingles in the last video. He scored 31 fantasy points in 32 minutes. But I don't think that's going to happen again. So I'm not going to play Joe Ingles tonight. I would just spend a little bit more money and play Bojan Bogdanovic. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. Another mid-range play here. Take a look at Marcus Morris from the LA Clippers, averaging 21.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 26 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate. He scored 28, 19, and 32 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 37, 33, and 30 minutes. He's projected at 25.4 fantasy points here tonight. I think he can score around 28 fantasy points like he did last game. So I like Marcus Morris here versus the Utah Jazz. Okay, moving on to the center position. I like Rudy Gobert from the Utah Jazz. He's averaging 40.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 31 minutes per game with a 17% usage rate. He scored 49, 31, and 52 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 36, 33, and 33 minutes. He's projected at 42.7 fantasy points here tonight, and for his price point, I think he might be one of my favorite, I'll call him a stud, one of my favorite studs on the slate. He's lower salary than all those other studs, and he's got that 50-plus fantasy point upside. So I like Rudy Gobert here versus the LA Clippers. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.